Okay. I'd like to announce that a quorum is present, the meeting is duly called, and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The following board members are in attendance: Tracy Miller, Allison Lasan, Catherine Sells, Dr. Buddy Bonner, Christy Hassett, Jenny Prozik, Sheila Taylor. We will now convene into closed session as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551, specifically 551.071, 072, 074, 0821, and 089. The time is 6:01 p.m. Okay, you ready? We'll now reconvene into open session. The time is 7:06 p.m. Please join us as students from Rockbrook Elementary School lead us in the pledges. Janaya Trosper, fifth grader, and Carter Nelson, fifth grader.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. All right, some fun facts about Janaya. Wants to be an artist when she grows up. She enjoys drawing and painting. Writing is her favorite subject because she likes to express her feelings and use her imagination. Fun facts about Carter. Would like to own/operate his own restaurant when he grows up. He enjoys spending time with family and friends and playing football. Math is his favorite subject because he is good at it and he gets his brain really going. You need to meet with our superintendent. And we'd like to recognize the parents. Okay, welcome to all. The Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees meets monthly to receive reports from staff and take action on recommendations from the superintendent. The board receives the agenda and all supporting documentation 10 days in advance of these regular meetings, which allows us to ask and receive answers to many of our questions. The board also meets in regularly scheduled workshops and work sessions where staff discussions and presentations are given for many of the agenda items. This protocol means lengthy discussions or a litany of questions on any agenda item often is not necessary, and as a board, we should have appropriate, listen, it's my last night here, so it's a little emotional reading for the last time. We should have appropriate knowledge and preparation for response regarding the content of our meeting tonight. Furthermore, we ask that all those in attendance conduct themselves respectfully at all times during the meeting. Any outbursts or disruptive behaviors may result in your removal from the board meeting. We will consider personnel items discussed in executive session. Would someone like to make a motion on Principal for DeGan?
Mr. Miller, I move that the board approve Ms. Lysandra Wilson as principal of DeGan Elementary School as recommended by administration and the Personnel Selection Committee. I am thrilled for you. We got to raise some hands.
I do have a second from Ms. Taylor, so a little bit of technicality. We have to vote on this. So I hope it goes your way. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Family, they said y'all must come up. Come up. I know. That's right. There's not enough room. I think.
Y'all are coming up next, so just get ready. So, y'all go this way. Y'all go that way. Turn it up. All right. All right, now the DeGan family, y'all come up and let's get that picture. So, look, yeah, y'all can all stay. You just get in the middle. Just stand right there, and we're going to fill in. All right, so y'all just fill in around.
Amanda, switch them.
Thanks. All right, boss people around. We're heavy on this side, or you're all right?
They're actually
Pretty good? Pretty good. You want them to spread out? Okay. I don't jump in. All right, you're good. Yep, you're good. Y'all are good. Perfect. All right, good? Okay. All right, y'all look this way. That one.
Congratulations, Ms. Wilson. All right, Principal, Indian Creek Elementary, would someone like to make a motion? Ms. Sells?
I move that the board approve Ms. Jennifer Driver as principal of Indian Creek Elementary School as recommended by administration and a personnel selection committee.
Ms. Hassett, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Come on, family, come on up. There you go. All right. Stay there. Get their staff up here. Get Indian Creek. Staff, if y'all want to come up, we'll grab a picture with y'all real quick.
Real quick, let her introduce her family.
Here you go.
This is my husband, Derek Driver, and this is my youngest child, Bellamy Driver.
All right. Yeah, come on up. Everybody from Indian Creek, come on up. All right. Here, here, guys. Y'all come right over here. Y'all come right over here. Come right over here. There you go. Nope. Donna. Yep. I'm not really part of it. Oh, yes, you are. Okay. Unless y'all want to stay for the rest.
Okay, principal for Liberty Elementary. Do I have a motion? Christie?
I move that the board approve Mr. Matt Rainey as principal of Liberty Elementary School as recommended by administration and a personnel selection committee.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Lasan, any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Y'all move right over into the middle. Yep. Okay. Liberty staff, will y'all come up so we can get pictures?
This is my wife, Patty, and this is my youngest daughter, Zoe. My oldest one is at work.
What grade are you in?
All right, y'all come on. Y'all come on. Come on. Yeah, y'all just fill in. You got the sign. I got the sign. Front, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, they can just come down. Let them come down first. Y'all, yeah, perfect. Okay.
Okay, principal of Morningside Elementary.
I'll do it. I move that the board approve Ms. Tabitha Richardson as principal of Morningside Elementary School as recommended by administration and a personnel selection committee.
Dr. Bonner, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Now y'all can cheer.
Welcome to LISD.
Introduce your family and call them up. So, yeah, do that first.
Okay, family. Come on.
Hi. Hi. Good to see you. Yeah.
Okay, come on, girls. Okay, so this is my 18-year-old daughter, Ashley, who will be graduating soon.
my 27-year-old daughter, Kelsey, and this is my 19-year-old daughter, Sydney, and my 8-year-old granddaughter. Yes, I said granddaughter. And this is Chloe.
All right, and then if there's Morningside staff, y'all come on up and let's get a picture. You want to stay here? Okay.
All right, Griffin Middle School.
Mr. Miller, can I make a motion?
Oh, Ms. Sells is going to take.
Oh.
Yeah, you can have the second.
Doesn't matter.
Mr. Miller, I move that the board approve Dr. Jacob Garlinger as principal of Griffin Middle School, as recommended by administration and a personnel selection committee.
I have a second. Ms. Sells, any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Introduce your family. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Just want to introduce you to my wife. This is Melanie. And because she loves to be embarrassed by her father, this is my 6th grade daughter, Jalen.
Griffin staff and anyone else who wants to be in the picture, come on up. Go, come on. Like, Boughton. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're going to come in. I just need him to announce it so we don't get off.
Okay, we're going to consider and take possible action on potential litigation regarding special education placement. Do I have a motion? Ms. Hassett.
In regard to the potential litigation regarding special education placement, I move that the board approve the proposed settlement agreement discussed in executive session.
I have a second. Dr. Bonner? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. All right, Chief Communication Officer Amanda Brim will now share with us this month's recognitions and student spotlight.
Come on over. Good to see y'all. Thank you so
This school year, 41 Lewisville ISD campuses received the Counselors Reinforcing Excellence in Texas Award, an honor recognizing outstanding counseling programs. From college and career readiness to equipping students with the social and emotional skills necessary to be successful in and out of the classroom, school counselors take on many roles to help students prepare for a future they create. LISD's 2022 Crest Award winners are Arbor Creek, Briar Hill, Coyote Ridge, Creek Valley, DeGan, DeLay, Downing, Etheridge, Flower Mound, Forestwood, Griffin, Hebron 9, Hebron, Hedrick, Heritage, Highland Village, Homestead, Independence, Indian Creek, Lakeview, Lamar, Lewisville High School, Kilo, Harmon, Liberty, Marcus 9, Marcus, McAuliffe, McCamey, Memorial, Morningside, Peters Colony, Rockbrook, Shadow Ridge, South Ridge, Student Success Center, The Colony, Timber Creek, Valley Ridge, Vickery, and Wellington. Congratulations to these excellent counseling programs. Lewisville ISD appreciates all you do for our students, families, and communities.
Good evening. My name is Manya Crow, and I have the privilege of serving as executive director of this amazing department. Who we have on the stage here right now are all of our elementary campuses that won this prestigious award this year. Please join me in congratulating them. No, I'm just going to say welcome our middle school campuses so we can jump in and get this done real quick. Please join me in congratulating our middle school campuses. Yeah, okay, good. And finally, please help me congratulate our high school campuses.
Okay, we're going to have our superintendent report, Dr. Rapp.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Miller. What an exciting night, and I know we've got a lot of commotion going on out there as everybody celebrates, but we have something very important to do here tonight as part of the superintendent update, and that is to honor our two trustees that are not running for re-election, Mr. Miller and Ms. Hassett, and so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Lasan to start the process in recognizing these two very special people.
Thank you. Is Ms. Glassman here? I'm going to call on you to read what you have brought. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. I'm here on behalf of Representative Kronda Timish, and I'm going to read this letter from her before I proceed with the resolutions. To my friends at Lewisville ISD, words cannot express my regret that I cannot be with you tonight to celebrate my dear friends, Mr. Tracy Scott Miller and Mrs. Chrissy Hassett. I treasure my memories of the time spent alongside these two dedicated public servants, working together for the students, staff, and families of Lewisville ISD. As some of you may know, the 88th legislature is meeting presently. So as you all gather tonight, I'm in Austin representing our district in the House of Representatives. It was my honor to file House Resolution 1013 and House Resolution 1014 with the Chief Clerk of the Texas House recognizing Christy and Tracy for their admirable service on the Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees. Elena Glassman, my district liaison, is with you tonight to share these resolutions and congratulations from the Texas House of Representatives. After these resolutions have been presented on the floor of the House and been filed with the Chief Clerk, we will get the official parchment copies to Christy and Tracy. It's my true pleasure to be able to recognize and honor these amazing educators. And as LISD parent, grandparent, and taxpayer, I'm so grateful for their service. Respectfully and sincerely yours, Kronda Timish. And I'm going to read this House Resolution number 1014. Whereas Tracy Scott Miller is concluding his tenure as president of the Lewisville Independent School District Board of Trustees in May 2023. And whereas Mr. Miller is a longtime resident of Lewisville, where he has served 3 terms on the Lewisville ISD School Board since 2014. He has worked tirelessly on behalf of the district, which serves more than 49,000 students at 70 campuses. In addition, he has served as chair of Christian Community Action, volunteered his time with the organization Communities in Schools, and held membership in the Rotary Club of Highland Village. And whereas a native of Lena, Illinois, Mr. Miller graduated with a bachelor's degree in computer science from Judson University in Elgin, Illinois, and pursued additional studies at Yale University and Dallas Theological Seminary. He has enjoyed a successful career as a senior vice president at Qualfin. In all his endeavors, he benefits from the love and support of his wife, Melissa Miller, and their 2 children, who both attended Lewisville ISD. And whereas through his unwavering commitment to Lewisville Public Schools, Tracy Scott Miller has helped provide for the diverse educational needs of the community's future leaders, and his contributions will continue to benefit area students for years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives of the 88th Texas Legislature hereby commend Tracy Scott Miller for his service on the Lewisville Independent School District Board of Trustees and extend to him sincere best wishes for continued success and happiness. And be it further resolved that an official copy of this resolution be prepared for Mr. Miller as an expression of high regard by the Texas House of Representatives. And here is House Resolution number 1013. Whereas Chrissy Hassett is concluding her service to the Lewisville Independent School District Board of Trustees in May 2023. And whereas Ms. Hassett has represented Place 6 on the school board since 2014, and she was elected to her 3rd term in 2020. She has worked tirelessly on behalf of the district, which serves more than 49,000 students at 70 campuses over the course of her 9-year tenure. She has been a member of the Lewisville ISD House Bill 5 Graduation Plan Committee, and she participated in the Inside LISD Community Leadership Program. And whereas a resident of Lewisville since 1978, Ms. Hassett also lends her time and support to such organizations as Texans Advocating for Meaningful Student Assessments, Make Education a Priority, and Speak Up for Texas Public Schools. Moreover, she serves as a mentor with communities and schools of North Texas and is actively involved with 100 Women with Care North Texas and the Young Men's Service League Paysetter chapter. And whereas earlier in her career, Ms. Hassett worked for Bank Tech and FedEx. She holds a degree in business administration from the University of North Texas. In all her endeavors, she enjoys the love and support of her husband, Mike, and their 3 children. And whereas through her unwavering commitment to public education, Chrissy Hassett has greatly benefited Lewisville ISD students, and her contributions will resonate in the community for years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives of the 88th Texas Legislature hereby commend Chrissy Hassett for her service to the Lewisville Independent School District Board of Trustees and extend to her sincere best wishes for the future. And be it further resolved that an official copy of this resolution be prepared for Ms. Hassett as an expression of high regard by the Texas House of Representatives.
Thank you, Ms. Glassman. If you just want to wait just a second, we are going to have a lot more pictures, so don't leave, and we'll get a picture with you in a moment. Thank you so much for coming. Ms. Sells has something she's going to share.
Yes, I also have resolutions, and I will not read them completely because the information that Ms. Glassman has read is duplicated on these. But just as you are standing in high regard with the House of Representatives, you are also standing in high regard with the State Senate. And these were prepared by Tan Parker in his office, and these are resolutions giving you thanks for your service on the Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees, to be commended for your service and to be extended sincere best wishes for your continued success and happiness. You will be missed. And both of you, these are for you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to take a moment here to go on our board and to see if anyone would like to make some remarks to these 2 colleagues. Christy's shaking her head. Would anyone like to start? I'll start. Ms. Prosnick?
So, Christy met on a lacrosse field well over 9 years ago, where you handed me one of the free business cards you had gotten to run for board. Even then, didn't know you very well. Knew you were taking some great lacrosse top pictures. Your passion for kids was evident, and I think that you have demonstrated that over the last 9 years. You have recruited many of us into your army to the legislature. You have educated many of us on the enumerating rules of the House and of the Senate, and I thank you for that education. I think it's very fitting that both the Senate and the House now have you in their permanent record. I think it's kind of nice. I think it's very fitting. And I want to thank you mostly for being a mom on this board, because you weren't just a mom to your 3 boys, you were a mom to the 49,000 kids that we serve. And I thank you for that perspective. And many times when we had grievances, you were always very poignant to make sure that the kiddo was taken care of. And I thank you for that. Mr. Miller, 9 years. You haven't aged a bit. Every gray hair I gave you. The greatest thing that you can give is time, because it is not able to be, you can't make more of it. It's a finite resource. And there is something to be said for 9 years of showing up here for kids and for showing up for the cause for which you ran. I think that you are a very driven human being when it comes to getting what you want. And you have gotten what you wanted for kids, and I appreciate that advocacy. So above all else, I thank you for your time and for showing up.
I appreciate the opportunity to say something to both of you, right? I'm not going to split you up. Although, Christy, I am glad that you had to suffer through a lot of whereases here at the end. There was some justice and value in that. But as a new board member a couple of years ago, I appreciated the opportunity to learn from both of you, right? And then also transition from being a staff member to a board member. And you two particularly were very helpful in that and made that a smooth season, and life is about seasons, and you two are moving into a new season, but I've benefited greatly from the season you spent on the board with me watching and learning from you. So I just appreciate it very much for both of you. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'm up next. As the newest board member, I don't have the history, I guess, that most people around the board have with the both of you, but I can say, just like Dr. Bonner did, that I have learned so much from the both of you. Christy, stepping in to become my mentor was very helpful, because when you step into this role, likely you've done so many other things and served in so many other leadership roles, but there's nothing like serving on the LISD board. And so I appreciate you taking me under your wings. I promise I'm going to get my training hours done the next time. But I do appreciate you taking me under your wing. And what I really, really appreciate about you and will miss, obviously you're sitting next to me, I'll miss that part, but your advocacy. I think it's second to none. When I think about someone that is constantly going to Austin or has, Austin's ear and always fighting for our kids, that's what I have seen in you, and I have respected so much that you've given so much of yourself and your time to this district, this board, and this community, and I just appreciate it. I'm going to miss you, so make sure I have your phone number, because I'm probably going to have to call, but thank you so much. Ooh, Mr. Miller, I don't even know where to begin. I think what I love about you is that people think this board is always 7-0. We're always, walking in tandem and we're always together. It doesn't always start like that. And what I appreciate about you is the challenge that you provide, the different perspectives that you give that make me think about things. And even though we may not agree on maybe the procedures or the process, that we always end up in the same place, and that it's about the kids. And I've never thought differently. You are always about the kids, and your fight is always about the kids. I just appreciate the time that you have given to this position. I appreciate you being a mentor to me, even though sometimes I did the opposite. I do appreciate the perspective that you brought, your leadership to this board. I think you should be really proud. I saw you as not only just a board colleague, but sometimes that brother that I wish I didn't have, the brother that I probably should have had, the big brother, little brother. I think you filled all those roles, and I appreciate your mentorship. It's crazy to say I'm going to miss you, which is kind of crazy, but at any rate, I am so thankful for your service to this board, to this community, and to this district. I think both of you can hold your heads up high that you ran the race set before you. It's probably not over knowing you two, because you will still be fighting and advocating for the best thing about this district, the kids. And I just appreciate the ability to have some time to work along beside you.
Okay, this is probably going to be hard for me too, and I don't know how you, because it dawned on me the other night, Miss Prosnick and I started the same year. We won our elections the same year, and we were the babies on the board, and now we have moved into a seniority position, which can be scary or exciting or a little bit about, I know. And it hit me the other night, and I thought, boy, I would not have dreamed 7 years ago sitting here that day would have ever come. And so it puts it on a new perspective to both Mrs. Hassett, who I first met as a elementary parent who heard her speak on reducing EOC testing. And I took it to heart because we had a discussion, and she probably doesn't even remember, and I think it was on a parking lot somewhere or at a school, and she said, I wish I could get people to understand that the actions that happen now are going to affect your kids. And I thought, she's right. As fast as their birth to elementary has passed, elementary to high school is going to pass just that fast. And if I don't fight now, when am I going to fight? And so I went into some of our schools and talked about that reduction, and we got some action going, and I got involved because of you. And so, and those EOCs were reduced, and reduced drastically, and partly because I would hope the action of us that we're just we're ground roots action here. And we were just moms who cared. And that was what was the beauty of it. But you served, both of you have served with grace and dignity and selfless dedication. It's been an honor to watch as you've distinguished yourself as steadfast and staunch supporters of public education in a very unique and different way for both of you. And you've never backed down when maybe your words and actions were not always possible, but you knew in your heart you were right and true. I'll miss serving alongside of you. I'm excited to see what the next chapter holds for you. Mr. Miller, I'm sure that I will see you at CCA sometimes. Ms. Hassett, I think now is my time. I need to buy a map of the Capitol because I always just tag along behind you. So, yeah, let's go. She knows the Capitol like nobody's business, and so I think that my first order of business in the morning is to order my own little map. So it has been an honor and a true blessing to serve along both of you, and thank you for your service.
I just want to also thank you guys. You guys have just provided countless hours, to this district in lots of different ways. Christy, I really have looked up to you as a mom of 3 boys. I see a couple of them out there, and, I hope to follow in your footsteps and at least have one Eagle Scout, but it's been fun to talk to you about that kind of thing. And like everyone else has said, pretty much over the years, I didn't worry too much about the legislative stuff because I knew Christy would tell me what I needed to worry about and what that we needed to do, because you just have done such a fabulous job, and I know that you're going to keep doing that, and it's just been wonderful. And you're so well loved by your community. Anytime your name would come up as far as school board, Christy Hassett, we love Christy Hassett, So, you've done an amazing job, and thank you so much for your service. Mr. Miller, you have, I sometimes look at you like a brother. I think you and I kind of developed that relationship when we went to D.C. a few years ago. You're fun to be around. Sometimes you make me crazy, but I never question your heart. I know that you have a huge, huge heart. Sometimes it's probably too big for your own good, but I never question that. And thank you so much for everything that you've done for us and blazed a trail for us. So now, Dr. Rapp.
All right. What a joy it is to honor 2 people that have served their community so faithfully on behalf of children. And as I think about what it means to be a board member, you know, what came to my mind was that board members are the link between the school system and the public. And as advocates for public education, board members help grow community support for their schools. And I couldn't think of more fitting words than to say to you all tonight that you have grown support for public education and for Lewisville ISD and our students and our staff and our community. And I thought about the time that you've spent on this board from 2014, and I've had a front row seat to all of it. The seat I have right now is the one I love the most. But, you know, you think about from 2014 until now, we've seen some of the most significant changes and challenges to public education that we have ever faced. And I just thought I'd take a look back at some headlines that we have faced over the years together. Those headlines include concerns around the Common Core and the role of technology, student mental health and well-being, and standardized testing's impact on student mental health and well-being, the changing nature of accountability for our schools and what is the right test and how is that impacting students, and again, what will the role of technology be in all of that conversation about education. And even dating back all of that time, there was school choice and vouchers. And then March of 2020 happened. And we saw what no one thought was possible with the closing of schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And since that time, the mounting attack on public education and educators has only continued to increase. But throughout all of this, what I thought as I reflected for the two of you, you have had unwavering dedication to your role as trustees and advocates, and you've navigated very challenging and tough circumstances. I've had the great privilege of working with both of you since 2014, and as I said, have seen firsthand your commitment to this role and to our school district, which comes at a great sacrifice to all of our families. Each one of us that sit up here understand that we spend an immense amount of time away from our families in order to support the 50,000 students of Lewisville ISD. And so I say to your precious families that I see sitting in the audience tonight, thank you for sharing your loved one with us. We are forever changed and forever grateful because of their service. And that's your service too. So on behalf of the staff of Lewisville ISD, I say thank you for your service to our school district, our community, and most importantly, public education.
Thank you. Okay, now Tracy and Christy, I'm going to ask you guys to join me up front here somewhere for a little formal presentation. Okay, all right. So, Christy, this is for you. In grateful recognition for your years of dedicated service and sincere commitment to the students, staff, and the communities of LISD, given to you on April 17th, 2023. There you go. All right. And Miller, we have you, look at this gavel, y'all. Isn't this great? Okay. In grateful recognition of your years of dedicated service and sincere commitment to the student, staff, and communities of LISD, April 17th, 2023. Okay, how do you want to do the picture? Okay, let's do pictures. If
You want to give them a chance to say remarks first?
yes, okay. Do y'all want to, Christy? Do you want to make your remarks up here?
Why don't we get pictures before we do?
Okay, Christy wants pictures now so that her face is not, blotchy for the. Okay, so do you want to have your family come up now? Okay, the Hassett family, would y'all come up here, please? Christy, do you want to introduce your family? I think we all know them, but I think they need an introduction.
This is Davin. Where's Anna? This is Anna. And this is Ellie and Ethan and my husband, Mike.
Y'all come forward. Y'all step forward some. Yep, you stay right there. Yep, you in the middle. Yep, perfect. Fantastic. Miller, do you want to get your family?
Millers.
This is my wife, Melissa. It's made great sacrifices over the last 9 years. My son, Tristan. This is the man I want to be like when I grow up. And this is his wife, Megan, who's his Marcus High School sweetheart.
Yeah, scoot over that way, y'all. There you go. Y'all can just go straight across. Yeah, y'all can just go straight across. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Y'all want you can do there or here. Yeah. No, I just have one little tiny. One little. No. Just have one little sheet. I'm going to have to read it because I can't look at all y'all because I'm going to lose it. Because I've been thinking a lot about my time in LISD. It spans my time as a student at Timber Creek, Milliken, and Marcus. Marcus is where I met my wonderful husband. It includes the 9 years I spent volunteering in our schools for my kids. And the next 9 years I've been blessed to be a trustee. We've been through a lot together over these years, and I am so grateful for all the hard work and dedication that each and every one of you has brought to the table. It hasn't always been easy, that's for sure. We've been through it all, and we've never lost sight of our shared goal to provide the best education possible for our students. I want to take a moment to thank a few people. To my fellow trustees, thank you for your countless hours of service and dedication to the students and staff of LISD. To Dr. Rapp, thank you for your passion and for your commitment that you have to this amazing district. To our wonderful staff, thank you for all you do, for your unwavering devotion to the success of our students and our staff. To our wonderful educators, thank you for everything you do to create a supportive learning environment to support the whole child so that they can blossom. To our amazing students, thank you for inspiring us with your creativity, your passion, and your resilience. To my boys, thank you for understanding and help when I needed it, when I needed to share my time with LISD students. And to my husband, Mike, I could not have done this without your support. You are my rock. Looking back on my time as a trustee, it's been my honor to be a part of so many things we've accomplished together, from state and federal advocacy, from the program and internal audits, from the dashboard and budgets, from the bond and long-term planning, and so much more that we've been a part together. I will always believe in the incredible power of public education to change lives and communities. There's always more to be done, and I have no doubt that with all of you, LISD will continue to thrive and provide our students with exceptional education. I want to say thank you again one more time. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm grateful to have been able to serve. But I'm not going away. I'm here for our communities, to volunteer, to advocate, and just be a part. Thanks.
Well, mine won't be as short as Hassett's. Never is. First of all, I do want to thank my wife and my kids. I think people look at city council and other roles and the amount of time they put in, and it pales in comparison to the amount of time that we have to spend getting ready, reading 200-page documents or 20-page documents every Friday from RAP, or what's going on. They're a lot bigger now than they were for the previous superintendent, I'll tell you that. So, but we always know what's going on. And as a family, you always hear, do you have a meeting tonight? Right? And I think tonight we actually just added 2 more meetings that we'll have before Christy and I are even done, which is another three meetings. To my kids, Tristan and Katie, Katie and Nick aren't here tonight, and they're the parents of Elena and Luke. And many of you know Elena. And it made that little girl feel special because she was born while we've been trustees. And many of you have her artwork in your homes. One time I said in a football game, who lives in Ponder? And Elena was with Jenny. And all of a sudden you hear, I live in Ponder. I was trying to make the point that not many people live out there. But we become family in like that in many cases. You look at the Hassett family, not only students graduating, but marriages now, 2 marriages. We've all gone through a lot of life changes. We've had board members who have had loss in their family, board members who had additional family members, as I just mentioned. And so, baby, thank you for all the time and that you've given to this district, because I got involved for reasons that most people don't know about. In 2013, I ran on the drug issue as a special election. I ran against Angie. Is Angie here? Yes, she is. Angie beat me. She doesn't like it when I say that. But the better person won. But I really thought it was an important issue, and I think we would all agree that that issue continues to be a very important issue for our community. And it's not gone away, and it's not gotten better. And so I stand firm on the fact that that's an issue that school boards and parents need to continue to address. And it's coming at a pace that's much faster than it was even back in 2013 and 2014. I can't tell you how special it is for Karen, Rich, and Rachel to be here. We've had a lot of laughs together. We've cried together. And now they're going to get a more sober person as a friend back, because I would always be very sober and talking about school board all the time. And I think they're ready for it. We're going on a cruise together this summer, so we'll probably have a good time. I think I'm allowed to get the drink pass this time. It's really hard to run a campaign, and everybody up here has run a campaign and either lost at some point or come back and run, and there's a difference of being a candidate and being a person that serves in this role. Mike McDaniel served in Christie's place, didn't run again. He'd served a couple times on the LISD board, and he told me once that once you're done, you're done. So after tonight, people forget about you. But one of the things he said was that one of the things that used to happen in LIC is you'd get your friends elected so that you'd have a majority. And he said something very profound. He said as he was walking away, he wishes he would have found a way to work with people to get things done. And when I was elected in 2014, I had a few people on the board working against me. And we never had an issue, interestingly. Jenny did give me some gray hairs, by the way. But we've never had an issue in finding ways to work together, and I think that says something about the board. I had a great campaign team that I want to recognize: Angela Jackman, Vicki Christensen, Carol Ball, everybody who's most have moved away from here. Hassett, I learned a lot from you. And we had, there are lots of times, as Mike knows, we'd get in these debates. We would not agree on something, and we'd kind of trudge our way through and figure out what was the best thing to do. And almost always came out on the same side of things. I don't know that we've ever really voted against each other on an issue, but Hassett has been a great trustee for LISD, and I think people need to continue to recognize the work that she's done at the Capitol. It's no small task. There are a couple of people I wanted to just highlight that one of the things as a trustee I think is important is that you build a relationship with people and staff that are willing to say to you, Mr. Miller or Ms. Brosnick or Dr. Bonner, I think you're going to make a mistake if you make that decision. And the first for me was Dr. Burnett, who was our CFO at the time when Dr. Waddell was here. And he said to me something when I was being onboarded. He said, education is like a mosaic behind a door. And you'll ask a question, and so they'll open it up and they'll just shine a little light on where the answer is. They won't give you a full picture of the mosaic, and you need to ask them a question that's more like this. Is there something that I'm not asking you that I should ask you so I can make a better decision? And Dr. Burnett had the maturity, and regrettably he's passed away, to actually say this is how to be a better trustee. Dr. Rogers was a great friend and a great superintendent. And I think we should continue to remember what Kevin did for us at a time that all the things that Lori was talking about were happening. And he came in, and when we Hassett and I and Christy, or Angie, all of got to hire 2 superintendents, focused on cultural proficiency and learning standards, and he stuck to that, and he did a great job with it. And I think really just built back trust with the teachers. Dr. Bonner, when you were on staff, you were a person that was willing to tell me, I think you're going to make a mistake. And I always appreciated that about you. Jeff Crownover, who's no longer here, is our general counsel, was one that was willing to say that. Deanne Bay, when we were doing the superintendent transition, I mean, we had a lot of conversations as board president coming off of Omicron, and then we're going through a superintendent search. It was very hard. We had a lot of things to think about, and the culture wars were happening, and it was very difficult to manage that. Lori Litchfield, and you have always been there to address a parent issue, always been right there. And I remember one situation where you and Rapp and I and Dr. Rogers were all crying over that situation. You remember what I'm talking about. And I just appreciate the level of focus that comes from the chiefs who manage the principals and what they bring to the table. Jamie, so grateful for you, how you've kept us all together. That's a hard thing to do. Guess what? You're going to have to do a doodle poll tomorrow. I don't know if you've been told that yet, but we're going to meet on Friday. Jeff Kosh, Jeff, you have always, I remember one of the first meetings where you were talking about technology. We were sitting over here, and you and I have talked about that before. And you were the principal at LHS, but just your willingness to say, hey, this is a perspective that might want to be considered. And I'm grateful for that. Andy Plunkett, is Andy here? Andy's not here. I'll throw Andy in there. Andy and I read a book. I think Buddy read it too. I can't think of the book. And Amanda Brim. Where's Amanda? Amanda has taught me a lot. You know, we can, even when we were going through the superintendent search, the perspectives that she provided, I didn't think that I would be a supporter of Gary Patterson. I thought, oh, we'll hire Karen Rue, and, you know, who the heck's Gary Patterson? And I think we all fell in love with Gary Patterson, and this district is better because of the time that we had with Gary Patterson. Matt Garrett, all the things you've done to make this one of the model districts for safety and security, whether it's storms or closing schools or other things that we don't always talk about. Thank you for that. Sheila Smith, Sheila, you've always been one in my quest to try and get the maximum for teachers, even after Buddy left, to say, hey, this is what I think we should do. So I'm grateful for that. The IT guys that sit back here, Brian's folks that don't get recognized, they do a lot to keep us together. And then I'd say this. You know, Tristan's wife, Megan, is the daughter of Romanian immigrants. And her father was in the communist Romanian army and fled and was captured. And, you know, when a man or woman makes that decision, they calculate the costs, and one of the costs is potential death. And so he fled and came to the United States, got his citizenship, called Tanya. They got married a couple years later. It took her 2 years to get here. They moved to Garland. They had Megan here. And then moved to Flower Mound to be in a safer place and go to our schools. And ultimately this becomes a part of my family's genealogy. And if it wasn't for public schools, which drew them to our community, the things that are great about LISD, you know, often people don't say the great things about us that they should. And they say a lot of things about us that they shouldn't. And we internalize that. We struggle with that. We labor with that because we know the truth. And the last 2 years have made that difficult. I just say, I mentioned Gary Patterson. I want to, you know, Gary Patterson I think is still the interim in Uvalde. And Gary Patterson, you know, the first day that he and I drove around, we had the big Twitter thing over at Hebron. I think everybody was leaving Hebron. We were trying to get in the parking lot, and just the way that Gary handled things, I think set the tone for what I think is one of the things that will go down in our legacy, this board and Angie, is the hiring of Dr. Rabb. A 47-year-old math teacher who grew up in the ranks of our district, and our law firm said she's probably the smartest woman in education in the state of Texas. I'd say she's probably the smartest educator in the state of Texas. But she works tirelessly, and if you can't find a report with her name on it, then you just don't know what's going on, right? Because there's one out there. But Lori, you are the reason Christy and I can leave this role and know that this district, along with this board, is in good shape. And we know that John Rapp and your two girls sacrificed deeply for that, and willingly. So we're proud of you. We're excited for what you bring to this district. You're going to make us an even better district than we were. And so thank you for everybody that supported us. Thank you, board. I care deeply about every single one of you, and wish I was going to Paris with you guys. But and thank you guys. Thank you for the privilege to serve. It is an honor. It's a privilege, and I would never say I'm retiring, just FYI. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. We want to do one more picture with Ms. Glassman with the resolutions.
I'm going to jump in here. We're going to take a quick, just 5-minute recess.
Okay, we're going to reconvene into open session at 8:21 p.m. For those who wish to speak to the board, speak at a board meeting, often expect a dialogue with the Board of Trustees. However, in accordance with the Texas law, the board is not able to respond directly to comments or questions posed by speakers. Texas law also does not allow the board to discuss or take action on any issue presented during the public forum unless the item has already been posted for action on the meeting agenda. The speakers will be divided into 2 groups. First, LISD stakeholders will be given the opportunity to speak, followed by non-LISD stakeholders. Lewisville ISD stakeholders, meaning current students, parents, employees, and residents of Lewisville ISD, will have a maximum of 3 minutes for their presentation. An individual status as a stakeholder has been determined based on the review of the public comment. Each speaker will receive a written follow-up from the district in the next 3 business days. The board and the district administration values the feedback shared during this time in the meeting, and we are grateful for the continued partnership between LISD and the families. For each speaker, we'd like you to speak your name and address, and we do not have any non-stakeholders. Correct? Okay. What we do, Angie? Yeah. Miss Angie Cox.
Okay. Hello, Board, Superintendent. I'm Angie Cox, 3209 Seton Court, Flower Mound, Texas. I don't know if Texas matters, but I said it. I don't need my 3 minutes, but I filled out my form because Mr. Miller, Ms. Hassett, you know, for the time that I was able to spend on the board with you, that's how you were addressed. But tonight, Tracy, Christy, you are my friend. And I disagree with you, Mr. Miller. You saying people will forget about what you've done. Much of it has been said tonight, all the things that you have done, from the advocacy with the state, Christy, all the technology, Tracy, that you've brought forth to us and showing us about the different technology. You have true gifts and talents that you brought to this board, and it will be a big loss when you are not on the board. But I just want to say how proud and blessed I am to have had the opportunity to serve with you as a trustee, and what you're leaving tonight is a legacy that will carry on for years and years to come. What you've done by the bond, electing a phenomenal superintendent, from the schools we've done, the teachers we've hired, the raises we've given, the technology, security. You are leaving a legacy, and you should be very proud of yourself. And I'm proud to call you my friend. So thank you.
Thank you, Angie. That means a lot to us. We would agree with you that you're a good friend and continue to be a great advocate for kids in our schools. Scott Waldron.
Greetings, Dr. Rapp and the board. I'm Scott Waldron from 1401 Sunset Point Drive here in Flower Mound, and I'm specifically here to talk about the Spanish immersion program, and more specifically so at Wellington. The Spanish immersion program, as far as I'm concerned, is a very powerful program to teach kids not only a new language, but also a lot about new cultures and new ideas, with a lifetime of benefits for people that go through things like that. I can tell you that because I learned the same way in Germany, and that cultural aspect of learning a lot of things carries you for life, not just the language itself. And I think what Wellington does is done a good job with that. My wife and I, as we decided where we were going to move in this country, actually chose Flower Mound for its community, and a big part of the community is for its schools. And furthermore, we chose the Wellington area specifically for the SIP program. I have 5 children there, 1 in 5th grade, triplets in 3rd grade, and a kindergartner. So we know of what we speak about having a lot of kids there. And We have overall really appreciated what's going on in the program. Why am I here telling you that? Because I think it's at an important crossroads of what's going on with the program, and my ask is just to have the board hear this and to help the LASD resources to make sure that we can get what we need to have that program be successful, and in specific, enough Spanish-speaking resources to drive the program. Because with attritioning happening a bit in each grade from kindergarten forward, you end up in a position where you can no longer have 4 teachers and justify that, on a student ratio. So with that, one of the things that happened this year was our 5th grade went down to 1/3 Spanish, and it's not enough. It's just not enough. Okay, I want to make sure that we find a creative way, even if that's sharing teachers or whatever we have to do, to get the Spanish program to be able to have a 50-50 ratio. I don't think this was the intent, but I was very disheartened when one of the reactions to us talking through from Wellington people right on up in meetings with Dr. Rapp was that the website of LASD simply removed the 50-50. Okay, I found that very disappointing as a reaction of just let's lower or take away the bar. I'm not wed to exactly 50-50, but that immersion is enough to make kids who had no Spanish at all be successful in the program as mine are. So I want to make sure that we find a way to do that. And this is conversations we've had with numerous parents in this program, and we want to see it be successful and not have a situation where people start pulling their kids out because the Spanish isn't enough, or leaving in earlier grades, because that'll facilitate the decline of what I think is a great program. I know there's plans on paper to fix it, and so I'm just here to say I'm very encouraging and make sure that we do that, and whatever I can do will help. Enough said.
Thank you, Mr. Waldron. Appreciate you coming and advocating for the program. Thank you. Okay, as it relates to the consent agenda, are there any items that anyone would like to be pulled? I've not received any, so I assume not. So with that said, do I have a motion to approve the consent items? Has it? Taylor?
I move that the board approve the consent agenda items as recommended by administration.
Second, has it? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes 7-0. We are going to do something right now. We are going to move an agenda item up. We are going to move is it N2? M2. Yes. Consider renaming the Hebron High School football stadium, Brian Brazil Stadium. Well, this is me.
Here's what I found.
It would be interesting. Maybe that was Chat GPT. So let me have a motion, and then we'll go.
Okay, I'll make the motion. I move that the board approve the naming of the Hebron High School football stadium to be the Brian Brazil Stadium.
Second, Ms. Hassett.
Ms. Brosnick.
Brosnick, I'm sorry. It's been a long night. All right, any discussion? Let me just offer a perspective on how this process works. So this is a very different process than when we name a school. We're building a school. We were building Mill Street. We were building Memorial. It's a very different process. You go to the community. You engage the community. You solicit input. You look at history. You look at legacy points. You look at all kinds of things. Memorial actually was a very interesting. As a committee, when we looked at it, Angie actually was one that came up with the idea of Memorial because the colony, where the Memorial Elementary sits, has a big part of that is Memorial Drive, right, and the legacy of that. So we take into consideration those things. When someone comes to us and asks us to name a facility, so this is not a school, the process is that the superintendent or designee would receive a notification. That notification then means that the board would put together a committee, that's the board president, and then the board makes the decision on that. So it's a little bit different process than the solicitation that we have for our schools. In this case, we had about 6 or 7 letters sent to us to consider naming Hebron High School after Coach Brazil. Brazel. I always get it wrong. And so we had, as a committee, Ms. Taylor and Ms. Hassett and I looked at this. Our prayers are with the family. We know he's struggling. I was able to have a conversation with him on Friday after he had a treatment, after I had also spoken to David previously to that. And it was a very meaningful conversation. I was grateful to hear that in that conversation how he had committed his life to the Lord when he was 8 years old, so he knows his salvation is intact and he's in a battle that we need to pray for. But I don't think there's anybody at this table, for sure, but in that community that would disagree that this isn't a good decision given the legacy he has there. Now, not only did he have a good legacy there, Dr. Bonner actually reminded me he was the head of the Texas High School Coaching Association. So that's what's before us this evening. If there's any other if there's no other discussion, we'll take a vote. All right. All in favor?
Let's get it done.
All right. Aye. All right. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations, Coach, if you're watching. David, we'd like to get a picture with you, if that's all right. And now just know that this is going to take a bit of a process. We got our facilities guys here. They're going to have to come up with some design, and then they're going to have to allocate the money, and we're going to have to go through that process. But we wanted to make this decision at this time. Oh, yeah. David, you want to introduce David? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to get down to some business. We're going to start with information items. Ms. Gall, Reading Academy update. Looks
All
like
right.
Dr. Rapp's going to
Yes,
jump in.
we didn't give Ms. Gall a microphone, so I'm going to introduce Ms. Spalding and Ms. Teddy. And Ms. Gall, thank you for all the work you've done, of course, to support getting this Reading Academy information to us this evening. And I'll turn it over to you two ladies.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Miller, Dr. Rapp, members of the board, and thank you for the opportunity to bring an update on the House Bill 3 Reading Academies. I'm Karen Spalding, Executive Director of Elementary Curriculum and Programs, and I have the privilege of presenting tonight with Amy Teddy, who is Specialized Support Admin, who leads the Reading Academies here in LISD. You'll recall that House Bill Reading Academies became a legislative priority when House Bill 3 was passed in 2019, which required all kindergarten through third grade teachers and administrators to complete the Reading Academies by 2023. To date, over 600 LISD teachers have completed Reading Academies, and by this summer, 2023, over 1,100 teachers will have completed Reading Academies. As noted by the incredible number of hours that teachers have spent on this unfunded mandate, time is certainly a valued currency. LISD staff has been very appreciative of the board's support in local implementation, providing compensation through ESSER funds, and advocating on our teachers' behalf and making this a legislative priority. The approximate total cost to LISD for reading academies through Phase 4 is $3.5 million. The state's stance was that early ed allotments would cover these costs. However, those funds have proven to be insufficient. We used ESSER funds to fund the program, but that grant is no longer available, which means we'll have to use local funds as we move forward. As you'll recall, when the reading academies were put into place in 2019, LISD opted to implement the reading academies in the 3 phases that you see on this timeline. Phase 1 launched in 2020 in July with 70 participants, and we used Region 11 cohort leaders for support. In Phase 2, when we launched in July of 2021, which included 570 participants, LISD used 4 local cohort leaders to provide support for our participants in the course. And in Phase 3, which launched in July 2022 for 536 participants, this cohort was led by 3 LISD cohort leaders, and we excluded our first-year teachers to provide them time in the classroom before they had to complete reading academies. So the remaining 100 participants you see at the end of the timeline that will start in June of 2023 includes our first-year teachers, those new to Texas, and that cohort will begin their coursework in June at the end of this year. So now we move into Phase 4, which includes our new principals and teachers that are new to Texas schools, and any current teachers that are moving from grades 4 and 5 down to teach in grades K through 3.
Okay, so if you'll recall in years 1 through 3, TEA offered 2 models of delivery. So the comprehensive model, which required 10 in-person days to receive content from a cohort leader, plus 4 coaching sessions per participant, and only allowed 60 participants. The blended model allowed up to 300 participants per cohort leader because the content was delivered as a self-paced course online with cohort leader support and feedback as needed. Participants ultimately completed the models independently and were graded on all assignments and artifacts. So we did choose to use the comprehensive model with just 2 participants in our pilot group and decided it would not serve our district well. So we chose the blended model because it allowed us to serve more teachers with fewer cohort leaders, and in-person meetings were not feasible during COVID or for a district our size. So the comprehensive model would have required 9 cohort leaders, 10 in-person days for almost 600 participants, 4 coaching sessions, and about 4 subs per participant, which added a burden on the campuses to provide these subs. But recently, in February of 2023, TA shared new requirements for the Reading Academy beginning in July of 2023. The blended model will only be, The blended model will only be available for the administrator pathway and extenuating circumstances. All other participants will utilize the comprehensive model beginning in July for year 4 and beyond. We thought by Phase 4 we could use the service center to support our participants, but the cost to use Region 11 for the comprehensive model is $3,000 per participant compared to the $400 for the blended model, which reinforces our decision to continue to offer local implementation in Phase 4. I've shared our remaining cohorts from Phase 3 here in Phase 4 because as we move forward to the required comprehensive model, the remainder of participants will be given an option for completion, but both offer the participant monetary compensation. After working with our teachers for a few years with the blended option, we know that some teachers prefer to work at their own pace and enjoy the stipend that we offer. Others will really appreciate the live sessions led by our cohort leaders to help guide them through the course more quickly. Participants in the June cohorts can now choose to work independently with the same virtual support given by our cohort leaders in the past 2 years and with the same $2,000 stipend, or they can choose to attend the live sessions with guided support and receive extra duty pay for professional learning for attendance on days off contract. Then the July cohort will be comprehensive and include the live sessions, coaching, extra duty pay, and utilize subs on a rotational basis. So with TA's new requirements for year 4, it brings continued concerns for our district and teachers. Without funding from the state, we will continue to need $3,000 per participant or 1 cohort leader. The impact on teachers will continue as they attend live sessions and coaching for the comprehensive option with additional time needed to plan for subs. And as you may already know, the Teacher Vacancy Task Force reported the Reading Academy caused teachers to resign, which trends with our own district's information. And with the lack of substitutes available, we'll need to rotate subs or use Saturdays. We do have some celebrations and shout outs. Our teachers have appreciated the support from the district and cohort leaders as they work through the course. And it's clear from the response of our teachers that we all agree literacy is foundational, but we could have provided the learning ourselves for our staff and lessen the time commitment and financial burden to make this learning attainable without the added stress. Teachers are implementing resources from the reading academies, and our curriculum reinforces the learning throughout our literacy content. Thank you.
Any questions?
Could
Awesome.
I'm sorry.
I guess we do.
Sorry. Could you remind me the amount of time it takes to complete Reading Academy, what TEA said it was going to take, and what it actually takes?
Yes, so currently there's 1 course, and they say it takes 60 hours, but we feel like you need to double or triple that, so about 120-ish hours independently. And they do have a new course now if you've completed the STR exam, which they say has reduced it to 42 hours. It's reduced. They took like a chapter out of each module. But yeah, we haven't seen that one yet.
And that's on teachers' own time?
Currently, yes.
Yeah.
Can you also remind me how much leniency we got from TEA during the tiny little thing that might have been happening at the same time we were supposed to be implementing this, called the pandemic, which we were already trying to do multiple things with teachers trying to do in person. There were so many things going on, and what was TEA's response to being able to be lenient on the reading academies?
The only thing they did was extend it by 1 year. So we did a pilot year that first year, and then this is the year 3. But most of our teachers have gone through it either last year or this year. And then the only other thing they've done, we were going to start our new teachers in January to give them a semester, and then they did come back and say we could start them in June. So we were able to give them kind of this whole year to get started.
We appreciate you supporting our teachers through this process because we do know it's a very long process. We see value in the idea behind it to make sure that we help our kids, but it's a lot of work for y'all and a lot of work for our teachers that was not necessary. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Spanish Immersion Program Evaluation. Dr. Fitzhugh.
Hi. Good evening. So tonight we're going to talk through Spanish Immersion Program Evaluation. Just a reminder, this is the template and the timeline that we follow for all of our internal program evaluations, and so we're right on track with where we're supposed to be. Tonight we're going to talk about the overview and history of the program, the enrollment process, participation, staffing, and then some different program data pieces, as well as finding and recommendations. Dr. Anna Rivera is here tonight to speak through some of these pieces as well, and so I will turn it over to her.
Good evening. This past December, we focused on Spanish learners in the dual language program, and tonight we'll be focusing on the Spanish Immersion Program, which is a K-5 world language enrichment program for Spanish learners. It's my pleasure to highlight the Spanish Immersion Program and also give a special thank you to the principals of Wellington and Hicks, along with their assistant principals and teachers, Spanish Immersion teachers, who are here this evening and make this amazing program work for our 650 plus Spanish learners at Hicks and Wellington Elementary. So thank you so much for being here tonight. We launched in 2012 at Wellington and 2013 at Hicks, and to my knowledge, Lewisville ISD is one of only 2 public school districts in the entire DFW Metroplex that offers this type of experience for students. It is comprised of all Spanish learners and considered a partial immersion program in the literature, which means that we teach both English and Spanish simultaneously at up to a 50% ratio of English and Spanish in all core content areas. The program purpose is to grow students who are bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural in their awareness of the Spanish-speaking world. This is achieved by rotating English and Spanish as the language medium for instruction of the content areas through our LISD curriculum, parent education opportunities, and providing campus-based opportunities for cultural activities and celebrations. In 5th grade, Spanish Immersion Program completers also qualify for another entry point in 6th grade to continue in the middle school advanced Spanish language program, which transitions the Spanish Immersion Program students to intensely focus on their language learning and intercultural competence. It consists of 3 courses and ends in 8th grade with AP Spanish as an opportunity to earn college credit. Program enrollment occurs yearly in anticipation of the following year and open to kinder and first grade students. Upper grade students must test into the program. As you can see from the slide, a history of our enrollment of the past 6 years shows very high fill rates for the program.
So one of the pieces that we looked at is the staffing of the 2 Spanish immersion campuses that we have at elementary. Currently, there are 34 teachers in the program. 17 of them are Spanish teachers. They're all certified bilingual. And then we have 17 English teachers that do the other portion of that. In addition to those elementary programs, it feeds into the middle school programs. We have 11 middle schools that offer advanced Spanish, which has the AP pathway attached to it. 15 languages other than English, Spanish certified teachers cover those classes. They're all currently filled. We do have 3 middle school Spanish vacancies that aren't part of that advanced pathway. So when you hear that there's openings at the middle school level, they're not part of this advanced pathway. The advanced pathway is filled. Oops. We have 2 of us clicking. So program costs, that's one of the things that we're looking at as we start going through these pieces. With Spanish immersion, we encounter a piece of efficiency with staffing. So as you enroll in the program, you start at kinder and we're filled up. But as students leave the program, it's hard past first grade to add additional students in, so we lose the 22-to-1 ratio, and so we run into a little bit of attrition impacting that. And so sometimes we have to look at how that partner model works out in terms of the Spanish teacher paired up with an English teacher. We do pay bilingual stipends for our Spanish teachers, and then there is a material cost with it as well. So when we look at program data for the elementary side of the students, one of the things that we looked at in this evaluation is we grouped the students as a cohort with when they started and looked to see how they moved through the program from kinder through 8th grade. If students withdrew from LISD, they were removed from sample sets. We do have COVID years in there, so that does take a toll on some of the numbers, just to keep that in mind. So when you look at the Spanish immersion cohort completion data, that first group, 13-14, that we followed through, we had 130 Spanish learners in kindergarten. 85 of them made it through 5th grade. Then when we get to 6th grade, we lose some of them. We go down to 51 because they finish the elementary program and do not continue into middle school. And of the 51 who start in 6th, 45 of them finish through in 8th grade. That's the only cohort that has completed 8th grade. That second one underneath, it has 39 that are enrolled, but you can see the similar type of numbers going through with that. One of the things when we looked at that drop-off between 5th and 6th grade, a lot of the students will go back into Spanish as Spanish 2. They continue to earn the credit. They just don't go through it straight through in middle school. And that's what this is. So they're returning to their middle school feeders. They're taking another elective. There's lots of reasons, but we do find that they have earned their Spanish credits by the end of it.
As we move into the secondary program data piece, I'd like to take an opportunity to also give a special thank you to Ms. Karen Seeley and Ms. Ashley Sambalog for their continued guidance and support in this special middle school program that we offer in Lewisville ISD. The following data gathered in the middle school advanced Spanish language program that we're about to see is a subset of data filtered from the 15% of Spanish learners who are from the Spanish immersion program that comprise the overall middle school advanced Spanish language program enrollment. The data that we're about to see is also further filtered to focus on K-8 completers, specifically from the 2013-2014 cohort. We use nationally normed and calibrated proficiency testing based on the same descriptors from the elementary Spanish immersion program. In 6th grade, they are tested once when they come into the program and then also when they leave in 8th grade to measure their progress. What we are seeing from the data when they come in is that it's very common to see that the students are very strong in their listening and reading skills. Those are the highest skills that they're coming in with. And then due to the intense focus in the middle school program on the language piece, they're also leaving with all areas improved, but especially their speaking and writing skills. Of the 45 students who completed kinder through 8th grade, over half demonstrated skills that were consistent with a college-level cognitive abilities in Spanish, and thus were able to earn college credit as middle school students. Now I'd like to highlight some salient findings from our program review. Students who complete the Spanish immersion program do leave with our desired intermediate level of proficiency. Most go on to the middle school advanced Spanish language program, and they continue to improve their Spanish proficiency skills immensely, especially in the areas of language output, and over half of the Spanish learners earn college credit as middle school students.
When it comes to barriers with the programs, one of the pieces that we have to really work through is that bilingual certification and finding teachers to teach in the program. We're seeing a reduction in courses being offered for bilingual education programs. Middle school advanced language, Spanish teachers have a lot of preparation to do with different courses because they will have a Spanish 2, a Spanish 3, a Spanish 4, and so that takes a toll on those middle school Spanish teachers to meet the variety of student needs. And then the model is currently built around a partner teach model, and as we spoke on that other slide, the attrition when we're losing students through that partner teach is hard to maintain. In terms of program recommendations, we recommend that we maintain and continue to monitor the Spanish immersion program, that we maintain and continue our middle school advanced Spanish programs, that we continue to utilize valid and reliable testing in our middle school to inform our linguistic process. We also have added in an elementary test as well that eventually we'll be able to add that in as part of our cohort data. It just hadn't worked its way through the system for us to be able to report tonight. And then we need to look a little more in depth at our middle school advanced Spanish program because so many different pathways feed into it. So we've looked at the Spanish immersion, we've looked at the dual language, but we have students who are native speakers who test into the middle school program. We have students who move in, so there's other avenues that you saw some data for AP testing on the previous slide that we need to do some evaluation and watch as well. And with that, thank you so much, and we're open to questions.
Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Monthly technology report. Mr. Colbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. The monthly technology report is in board book. It's for the month ending in January of 2023. There, for the remaining 2017 technology bond funds, there's just over $14 million remaining. Just a heads up, we are planning on bringing a discussion item to the board in May to talk about some of the shared technology that we still have to wrap up. Most of that remaining money would be towards that project, with the plan to bring a consent item to the board in June. On the IFE, our revenue and expenses are both up slightly from last month. Our current balance is $2.52 million. On the device ages, another month went by, so as you would expect, our averages are continuing to go up. I do want to point out for grades 4 through 12 that is looking like it's approaching the average age of almost 4 years old. That will go down at some point once the 4th grade, 9th grade iPads get put into the system and bring that average down, which will help. And as you can see, our teacher devices are starting to reach that 5-year-old mark. On the second page, that highlights some of our usage. Broadband bandwidth at home continues to stay around that 96% range, as well as our opt-in percentage in grades 4 through 12 is 96.25 for students selecting an iPad, of which just over 90% of those devices show up on campus daily, so that's up slightly as well. Our average bandwidth per student is 173 megabyte per student. And again, our categories of use, I want to point out that if you look at the education category, you really would need to add in the dynamic safe listing, which would be media content from sites like Canvas, direct links that teachers put out there, those types of media content. If you combine those together, you'd be sitting right around 77% usage for what should be educational use. And as you can tell on the bottom graph, it shows at-home and school usage. Again, high levels of at-home usage, almost similar to what's being done at school per campus. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Volbeck? All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right. District staff summer hours, Ms. Smith.
Well, believe it or not, it is that time of the year that we share our district staff summer hours with you. As has been customary over the past several years, the district will operate on a different schedule during the months of June and July. Beginning the week of May 29th, district hours will be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and all campus and district offices will be closed on Fridays. Regular hours will resume the week of July 31st. The district and campus office will also be closed on Monday, June 19th, and on Tuesday, July 4th. This calendar has been reviewed by our professional learning department, and so we work to ensure the coordination of first-year learning, including Thrive, our first-year teacher activities, and all of our back-to-school staff development for the 23-24 school year. A facilities department review of cost savings realized by coordinating all of our summer activities and closing the district offices on Friday is estimated at approximately $10,000 a day in utility cost savings during the summer.
That's it?
That's it.
You're saving it for the next big item, aren't you?
Saving my time.
Yeah, okay. Any questions? All right, thank you, Sheila. We're going to do the announcement of the hours for board member training hours. As board president, I am to announce the Board of Trustees required education training results, or education results, continuing education training hours for each board member. New board members are to achieve 25 hours, and existing board member, past first year, 9 to 16 hours a year. Allison Lasan, 41. Catherine Sells, 46.5. Dr. Buddy Bonner, 24.5. Christy Hassett, 51.25. Jenny Prosnick, 43.5. Sheila Taylor, 16. Tracy Miller, 29. Board members having completed and or exceeded the required continuing education for all of the tiers are Ms. Lasan, Ms. Sells, Dr. Bonner, Ms. Hassett, Ms. Prosnick, and Mr. Miller. Ms. Taylor did not complete all required training. A copy of the framework of the governance leadership has been given to each board member. It's in your packet, your manila folder. All right, discussion items. 2023-2024 employee compensation plan. Rap's going to hit her button first, Sheila, so Here we go.
I am. So I know that over these last several months, really actually beginning in January, the board started looking at what would you all want to consider for possible compensation scenarios. And we've been bringing before you different options. We know this year is challenging with the legislative session and the uncertainty around will there be an increase to the revenue that we have in order to provide compensation for staff, well-deserved compensation for staff. And I assure you that as I go out on the road, I assure them that you all would do exceedingly much and more of all the things if the legislature would address the shortfall that we have with revenue. So I did record a video for staff last week to continue to keep them updated about the challenges to the budget and the financial constraints that you all are faced with as a board as we face almost a $60 million recapture payment, and we face a basic allotment of $6,160. We'll talk more about that in the legislative update here in a minute. But we just want to give you all a continued opportunity to talk through the compensation scenarios. You all have considered ultimately a 3% for all staff and some market adjustments as a part of a possible compensation plan. But we know that we ran the scenarios in three ways: no change to the state law, a $350 increase to the basic allotment, and then potentially an $800 increase to the basic allotment. The compensation package that you all are considering and discussing, the total amount of that is $14.9 million for our staff. So I'll pause there, and Mr. Miller, President Miller, let you all continue with your discussion about compensation.
Okay, who wants to go first on this one? Ms. Hassett?
Enough, Dr. Bonner. I'm still in favor of a 3% raise. I understand completely that our staff are worth well more than that. With inflationary measures, we need to make sure we're compensating them so that inflation isn't eating their lunch. And I'm personally still in favor of delaying it until after session. I've had multiple people confirm rumors that I've been hearing that our hope of the $300 and $350 increase to the basic allotment will probably not happen. Representative King has a bill right now that provides $140 increase to the basic allotment over 2 years. So it's not even a $140 increase to the basic allotment. It has to span over 2 years. They are spending the money right now on property tax rebates that they're wanting to give. TEA requires us to set the tax rate according to TEA specifications. A lot of the budget surplus that they have at the state level right now is due to property taxes. They're using the money that was collected in the name of public education to do something else with it, and we're not able to adequately provide increases in pay to our staff because of the way that they're choosing to use this budget surplus. They're not providing enough money. They have a lot of the money from the surplus due to inflation, and they're not allowing us to use that in inflationary measures to help our staff in a time where staff is already overwhelmed. So I'm still struggling with making sure that I think, well, I won't be here after session, unfortunately. But I do think that personally I'm more comfortable with knowing exactly what it is. There's too many rumors going around as to what they will or will not do. And having Representative Ken King, who is often a public education supporter, provide so little amounts to the bill that he's providing is very cautionary, and it makes me very, very nervous right now. That's all.
Thank you.
I am in favor of the 3% raise as well, given inflationary costs. I do agree with, I'm sure, everyone up here that we wish we could do more, but our hands are tied and we're very constrained by the budget. I am not which is shocking that a CPA would feel this way, in favor of delaying the vote till we know what the legislature will do, just because I think if you don't do anything, even if it's a short period of time, you run the risk of losing staff to other districts, neighboring districts. And I wouldn't want to be in that situation where we waited and then something happens and now we're ready to move on a raise, but a lot of our staff are gone. And so that's, I guess, a conundrum. I know where we are financially, but again, not willing to take the risk that we lose our staff by delaying something that they would need to know. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Sheila.
I am going to say very little, but I do agree with Ms. Hassett still. That's still kind of how I feel. I do think that I am going to be ready to vote for a raise. I do plan to vote for a raise no matter what. I would feel more comfortable waiting. But yeah, I hear some rumors. But I'm not feeling real optimistic, unfortunately. But of course, I think I'm absolutely going to vote for a raise, but I would like to wait.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I like 3%. The legislature is a funny animal, right? So in off years, we should swing for the fences and go big, but in legislative years, we should tighten up and get real conservative, because Ms. Hassett has talked about how the sausage is made. And, they're throwing in ears and tails and all sorts of stuff right now, none of which is going to come out on the other end as ham, bacon, and other porcine byproducts. 3% delay only with a caveat that, just to trick it up a little bit, that any action by the board is not in addition to action by the legislature. So I don't think the district will outstrip the board. Will outstrip the legislature. Hopeful thinking, perhaps they will, but I want our employees to receive our action and state action, as long as it's not double dipping. Does that make sense? I want some sort of ironclad resolution that prohibits that from happening. So, thank you.
Dr. Bonner, just to be clear, though, I certainly understand that point. Would you be in favor of taking action on this in May?
Yeah, thank you for asking, because I was going to jump in there again in a moment. Yes, I think Sine Die is May 29th, something like that. So we've got a couple of meetings between now and then, and maybe things kind of congeal around what the state's going to do. Hopefully it does. If not, I would be in favor of making it before the legislature departed.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I am in favor of 3%. I think that our teachers always will be our greatest resource. And it just pains me. I hear my teacher friends down in Austin say that they go into the legislator's office and they promise them that they're going to get them a pay increase of a certain amount, knowing full well that they said that 2 years ago and it didn't happen. And I witnessed them saying it 2 years ago and it didn't happen. And so I'm cautious. I support the 3%. It's not enough. Won't ever be enough. Will never be enough. And but along Dr. Bonner's, in case of a miraculous event occurring, and the legislation does use some of that money to set aside for teachers only, which then they don't understand that then that will kick us in previous years, future years. But no matter how they word that then we have some opportunity to come back and maneuver that into not putting us more on the line for those raises. But I will say that we have quite a few. We have thousands of teachers in this district, and we should have thousands of calls being sent or being made to our legislators every day. And if that means that you get in your car at 4:30 or 5:15 or whatever time and you make a call and you get their voicemail or you get an aide that's going to take your name and number and how you feel, they will not get the message until they hear from you guys. And that's just the bottom line. Because when they don't hear from you, they think everything's good. They do. And they say, well, we haven't heard anything, or nobody's talked to us about that. Well, find a voice and use it. And if you need help, reach out to any of us up here. We will help you. We will send you. We will sneak numbers to you. And so just help us in fighting this fight is just my ask tonight.
Well, I won't lie. I was hoping the legislature was going to take care of this for us by giving teachers a $10,000 raise, but they voted that down. I am for 3%. I agree with Ms. Sells. It is not enough. I'm also for all of the stipends and the raises and bringing people up to midpoint. That's quite a speech, Dr. Barney. You need to go to the FFA and give that the next time around about how you make the sausage.
Pigs tonight.
Talking pigs. I don't believe in delaying the vote because Tim Chafin looks a little bored out there. And I want to give him the opportunity to send out those contracts the minute we approve the raises. Because it's also a way of knowing who's coming back. Of our existing staff, and I think it's a tool in the tool belt. We used it last year. I guess I'd like to use it again this year. You invest in what's important, and you invest in students, and the way you invest in students is by investing who stands in the front of that classroom. That's all.
Thank you, Jenny. I think this is this is one where Hess and I don't necessarily see eye to eye, but we do as it relates to outcome. Or my earlier comments is what I'm talking about. We've wrestled through this discussion. One, I would say there's a problem with waiting. We have an election, people have made statements, and you shift the balance of the decision on this by delaying it. Two, we generally do not go against staff recommendations. I'm not saying in the amount, but I'm saying in the timing and sequence of when these are made, and staff is asking us to make this decision before the end of the legislature. I think we all have to think deeply about this. What is it that we think the legislature will do that will change our mind? Okay, so to Jenny's point, $10,000. Well, that got voted down thanks to some of our own delegation. But let's just say that it's the $2,000 for districts over 20,000 and $6,000 for districts under 20,000 students, and they get that for a year, and they encumber their funds. These small districts, they can't pay for it the next year. We could, and I agree with Dr. Bonner. We should have a stipulation that says that anything provided by the legislature is not in addition to what we're providing. We did swing for the fences last year, as a reminder. We got 4%. And the year before, when the legislature was in session, we actually modeled the intent of the legislature without them giving us the money. So I think we've been good stewards from that perspective. I think that those that want to delay it need to just think deeply about this. What is it that the legislature would have to do that makes the timing of the decision different? So let's just say they do nothing. Is your vote going to be no to 3%? We know it's likely they'll do nothing. So let's just say that. So what does the difference in the timing make? Now let's just say that they do something and you put in some type of DLB comes up with something where we write something into this contracts, right? We just say the way that we will fund these is through these mechanisms. I just think that we've got to think about what we're expecting from the legislature, which we always go into the legislative session with high expectations because they've got $30 billion surplus and they're going to do all these things and they talk all these good games as they get on committees. Then they get in committees and then they, we see the houses both chambers aren't even aligned on Parent Bill of Rights and all these other things. I would ask people just to think about what is it that the legislature would do that would actually change the vote. And if, in fact, the legislature doing nothing wouldn't change your vote, then I would say that we do the best we can for staff as it relates to a recruiting mechanism so that we can be in a stronger position to retain and recruit these people. Last year it was different, but we've spent a lot of money on subs. A lot of money on subs, right? So, often these things look like it's going to be $14 million. And if you look at the net difference, if you're actually successful, you might save $500,000, hypothetically, on subs. And the numbers aren't as daunting. But I would just ask that the board think deeply about that before the May 1st meeting, when this will be on for action. And I'll just open up for any final comments. Any comments from staff?
I would only reiterate that we know you all have been put in an extremely tough situation financially by no choosing of your own. The system that causes us to pay a $60 million recapture payment is absolutely unacceptable. 10% of our taxpayer dollars, we say this every month, going to the state and that money not going back to school districts so that you have a way to pay people like you want to pay them, that's a challenge you didn't create, but you're faced with solving. And I think I can absolutely speak on behalf of our staff an immense amount of thank you, because it is a very tough decision when you don't have the revenue that you need to do what you want to do for staff. So I'll just close with a thank you, knowing that the decision is very tough.
Thank you, Dr. Rapp. Anything else? Okay. Moving on, Ms. Maloney, financial report.
Thank you, President Miller, Dr. Rapp, members of the board. We are bringing to you the February financials, financials ending February 28th, 2023. That's 6 months. To date, actually, in revenue, in the general ledger today, we're over $500 million in revenue. And just that reminder that recapture payment down is up towards $60 million. So that's something on the general fund to remind you. You'll see on the Child Nutrition Fund, and then over the next couple of months as we carry forward our spend down plan, those expenditures will start to come up. And in the debt service fund, we saw our interest payment made in February, and you can see that there. For revenue in the debt service fund, we are on track to collect about what we budgeted. Looking on page 128, I always draw your attention to the ARP ESSER 3 money, which we will use $7 million of that as an offset to the general operating deficit. But as you can see, that money will come to an end after this fiscal year 23. Our construction report starts on 131. A real good way for you to see what's uncommitted, and all as we bring items to the board, what gets put into the line items and what falls off after we close projects. And on page 133 on the investment report, I just would like to point out that last year in the February report, we earned $63,000, and we earned $2.7 million this month. because of the higher rates that we're experiencing right now. So Amber and her team, we're really looking, we don't think that those rates are going to change in the next year, so it's going to be part of our strategy to bring in more revenue for the district and investment. So staggering difference. And you can see on page 134, we have treasury bond, both on the general fund and the debt service fund, that we will mature at the end of July. Thank you.
Any questions of Ms. Maloney? Thank you, Ms. Maloney. Legislative update. Rep.
All right, I'm going to get this started. Ms. Maloney and I are going to share responsibilities here for this presentation this evening. Of course, we've been providing you a legislative update every month since the legislature started convening. The last day for House committees to report out House bills is May 8th. The last day for the House to consider House bills on third reading is May 12th. The last day for chambers to pass bills, except for concurring in amendments or acting on conference committee reports, is May 24th. And as Dr. Bonner mentioned, the last day of the session is May 29th. So I thought we would really quickly, I know, we would watch, we've got a whole Unwrapped series where we talk about more topics in depth. Thank you, Communications, for continuing to find ways to use my last name. But basically, this is a way to say, here, let's dig into some topics. And right now, those topics are budget. So if we could, we're going to play this recapture video that the team did a great job on.
Recapture, also known as Robin Hood, continues to be a buzzword throughout the many school districts in Texas it affects, LISD being one of them. When this concept was created back in 1993, it only applied to 34 districts across the state that were required to pay approximately $130 million collectively back to the state. Today, the latest comptroller estimates are showing that Texas is projected to receive upwards of $5 billion from more than 240 school districts through recapture in the current school year. In LISD, the funds we receive from our local taxpayers through their property taxes exceed the entitlement we are allowed by the state of Texas, which means we send millions of dollars back to the state every year. LISD sent $45 million back to the state in recapture for 2022 and is set to send approximately $60 million back to the state in 2023, more than 10% of the property taxes collected by local taxpayers. This impacts LISD's ability to hire and pay staff, as well as provide the quality educational opportunities available to students. One of the most concerning aspects of recapture is the lack of transparency from the state on where the funds collected through recapture are being used. These funds do not necessarily pour into other public school districts throughout Texas. When the state collects more local property tax dollars from school districts through recapture, those funds funnel into the state's general fund balance, where dollars are spent on other priorities unrelated to education. The best way to relieve the burden on school districts related to recapture is to increase the basic allotment, which benefits all school districts in the state. And that's recapture unwrapped.
We've gotten a lot of compliments on that video. We've shared it with our friends far and wide, and I'm proud of the communications team and Dr. Miller for helping put so many of these things together, and then ultimately, without Ms. Maloney helping explain and calculate all these numbers, I don't know where we would be. So I'm so proud of the team in putting this information together in a way that helps explain the situation that we're facing in our school district. We have been definitely sharing with our elected officials that Texas ranks near the bottom of all states for funding on public education. When considering inflation, funding for schools has not increased. Public education equals public accountability. You all have been staunch on that in your legislative priorities. And currently, anything that's been proposed around vouchers or educational savings accounts or whatever name they call them do not have public accountability for the use of taxpayer dollars. And so our advocacy point, and we will continue to say this, we will not give up and we will not waver, and that is that if public taxpayer dollars are going to be taken from districts, going to be put in the general fund, and that's what's going to be, whether it's those funds or other taxpayer dollars, public accountability should follow that money. And we have plenty of public accountability on us every single day. That basic allotment of $6,160 is, of course, what we are entitled to as a public school district. We know, again, that the narrative has been $8,000 possibly that has been tossed out for an educational savings account. We know the cost to educate students on average is really $10,000. $6,160 is a very low starting point for saying what the value of education is per child. And we already, like I said, we already know it's been public that $8,000 is possibly what the educational savings account would be. We don't care where the $8,000 come from. You're already saying it's $8,000, and we are only getting $6,160. And as you've all talked about, and Paige will say in a second regarding right now what they're considering adding to the basic allotment, we went into the session hoping at a minimum really for a $350 increase. Inflation is upwards of 28 and 25% to run the largest business in Denton County. We are one of the largest economic engines for Denton County. And yet we have no way other than to go out to our taxpayers to increase our revenue. And while we know that everybody wants property tax compression, that is ultimately forcing the hand to say we need to go out and increase taxes in order to bring in revenue. That's the position that we're being put in here. You know, when I think about this and I think about public education and the mission versus the narrative that we hear out there right now, I just go back to education code that's been passed by our legislature on the general purpose of public education. And I kind of thought it was fitting in Mr. Miller's last full meeting to get in a sentence about the general diffusion of knowledge. The mission of the public education system of this state is to ensure that all Texas children have access to a quality education that enables them to achieve their potential and fully participate now and in the future in the social, economic, and educational opportunities of our state and nation. All Texas children. Public taxpayer dollars that are being spent are meant to be spent for all Texas children. And if any dollars are going to be spent, then they should have to take all Texas children. Texas public schools are required to follow the laws and regulations of Texas Education Code passed by the legislature, laws that are intended to address the education of all students. We follow the laws that are passed by our legislature: curriculum, assessment, accountability, books, instructional materials. I could keep going on. The laws have been passed, we follow those, and if there's any problems, we work to rectify them. I'm going to close this slide with a question on when did it become okay for public education to become a target in order to defend the rationale for school choice. I do not understand when it became okay to make teachers and students a target in order to have a rationale, whatever the rationale may be. We need to support public education because that is what is meant to provide for all Texas children. I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Maloney to talk about what's going on in each chamber. We will start first with the House Committee Substitute for House Bill 100.
Thank you, Dr. Rapp. The committee substitute for House Bill 100 has passed out of the Public Education Committee with a price tag of about $4.7 billion. In the first year of the biennium, there'll be a $90 increase to the basic allotment and what they're calling an inflationary adjustment for year two of $50. When we know that the inflationary number of the basic allotment is $900 to keep up with the inflation. So the inflationary adjustment is from 90 to 50. So it's 140 that in that bill. The $90 in the first year of the biennium for fiscal year 24 would, in the runs that we're looking at, TASBO, I ran it in our own template, is about $8 million. We would have the ability as the Board of Trustees with a unanimous vote to get the sixth golden penny by board vote. That would be another $8 million. So looking at about $16 million. Some other things in that bill. It moves to ADA average. Moves ADA to average enrollment for certain program allotments. It does some updates for special education funding. It creates new allotments for mathematics advanced pathways, rural pathways. There's a new fine arts allotment, but we don't really know how all of those things are going to shake out. The other thing that's passed in the House is House Bill 2, that property tax bill for $12 billion in property tax reduction. For our M&O rate, what we would be looking at right now is a 15-cent reduction. That's going to take us to about 69 cents. What I would say about this is in addition to over $5 billion that's in new automatic tax compression that was set in the law in 2019. So it's really $17 billion on the House side for that. On the Senate side, Senate Bill 13 passed out of the Senate the library bill, which would opt out for parents when students check out books. It requires districts to establish local advisory councils to oversee library materials and requires library materials to have board approval prior to purchase. Several bills passed out of the Senate Education Committee last week. Safety and security focus on student records and truant conduct. Senate Bill 1630 is an attendance policy to prevent truancy. Senate Bill 2565 is an IMA bill, and Senate Bill 1515 to display the 10 Commandments in public schools. Senate Bill 9, which passed out of the full Senate right before Easter, is that bill that Mr. Miller was referring to a bit ago. That would be $2,000 per teacher for $2,000 pay increase for teachers in districts over 20,000 enrollment, and $6,000 pay increase for teachers in districts in 20,000 enrollment or less. It's only good for 1 year. So it's kind of a one-time payment for both of those. So late breaking this afternoon, some good news on the debt service side that came out was the Senate Education Committee posted their agenda for Wednesday, April 19th, and these are some good advocacy pieces. Here are some bills related to ballot language for bonds. Senator Creighton, who's the chair of the Education Committee, is putting out a bill that is omitting that language that says this is a property tax increase, even if it isn't, and he wants to add instead, this authorizes the district to take on additional debt. Senator Parker, our own Senator Parker right here in this area, at first glance it looks like that he would be changing that language from is a property tax increase to this is a property tax rate increase, which that's really what it is. And it looks like that would only be if you were actually increasing the debt service rate in the next year after you went out for your bonds. So encouraging there. It's a new piece of advocacy, and I know that we'll be writing about that in our update to the legislators later on this week. So what else? Tuesday, April 18th is Raise Your Hand Texas is going to host Measure What Matters Day. That's on One Test, all of those things that they advocate for. And then LISD is going to visit the Capitol on May 4th. Dr. Rapp, do you want to say a little more about that?
Yes, just real quickly, I'm very excited to take some staff with me to the Capitol to go meet with our elected officials. It is our goal to sit in front of them and talk with them about what we're accomplishing here, have them see our teachers, and get to hear from them. And I've got plenty of staff that want to go with us, of course, the way subs are. We can't take a full busload of people down there, although I'm confident I could fit multiple busloads of people. And I am confident that now more than ever our staff are aware of the challenges that we're facing, and we will continue to encourage them, of course, to make those phone calls, as you all said. And, of course, we want to see that our public schools are fully funded. We've been staunch on the increase to the basic allotment, helps with inflation, provides pay raises for teachers, and reduces recapture. It really solves 3 problems all in one thing. And then we've already talked about public dollars require public accountability, and we will continue to advocate. And we hope everyone listening and everyone here tonight will continue to do the same.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. Any comments? Ms. Taylor?
I think the presentation on that you put together on recapture was very, very helpful just for the layman person that may not understand how that works. It shows that we are sending tons of money out of the district, and think about what we could do with even not asking for all of it, just a fourth. If they would let us keep a fourth, what we could do. We wouldn't be having these discussions about if we can pay our teachers, be how much are we going to give our teachers, the programs, et cetera. I guess I'm hopeful that your meetings in Austin will go well, that people will listen. But I will have to say it was disheartening for me, as a parent and as a board member, to see the representatives that are supposed to be representing us in public education vote the way that they did, particularly a former board member who I felt would be good in that position because she could best educate everyone else about the importance of public education. So I'm still trying to figure out how to get that right in my mind. This is what we're here for, to advocate for public education. I can't speak for everybody because I don't know everybody's background, but I would not be here, would not be where I am, have any of the successes I have, the career I have, the license, none of that without public education. And I am a big proponent and fan of public education. It's disheartening, too, to lose 2 people that I know that advocate for kids and for public education and to not know what we're going to end up with. But I will say publicly, if you are not for public education, if you are not to advocate for kids, to support our teachers, to keep this district strong, to advocate with our legislators to make sure that they make the right decisions and that every decision has a child's face on it and that they are putting the kids first, I don't want you here. And I'm just going to say it publicly. I don't want you to sit next to me because this is about a fight for our future. And we talk about, public education is being attacked, teachers are being attacked. I see bills about library books. I don't care about that. Our parents get involved and talk about library books or all this other nonsense and noise. This is about kids first. That's why we all ran, why we all sit up here, because kids. And I want to feel good about, that's probably why I'm really sad that y'all are leaving, because I don't know what we're going to get. But I want somebody here that is going to be in this fight to make sure we provide the best future possible for every single child in LISD. And I don't know where I'm going with this or where I ended up, but I felt like I needed to say that. It's just disheartening to me to see our legislators focus on things, to me, that are not that important when we have public education to fully fund. That's all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. Appreciate that. Catherine?
I just want to say thank you for that little video. It does, though, rise the ire in me. And I was thinking, in any other industry in our country, if you say you're going to collect funds to use for a specific purpose, and you do not use those funds for a specific purpose, you are brought up on federal fraud charges. Shame on Austin. I think they need to check the integrity. And it just really, it's just unfathomable that would occur. And I don't think anybody up here, if Robin Hood did its intended purpose, We want all kids in the state of Texas to be educated. And if that means some districts that are struggling need some of the funds that we have, that's great, because you know what? It's going to make for a better Texas. But when you take our funds and you talk about it going to a purpose and it didn't, you're a dirty little liar. So it just infuriates me. But thank you for your continued advocacy, and I look forward to a report from May 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Several thoughts written down, so please forgive me as I ramble along. But the basic allotment, $6,160 set in 2019. If you just do the simple inflation rate since then, 17, 18, 19%, that equates to that $900 we've been talking about. So just keep us whole with inflation. You couple that with the recapture rate, which we've talked about. Recapture is a real simple equation. Student enrollment is the bottom line, and then property assessed values are the in our instance the inclined plane over that. By the way, check DCAD; those came out today. So the delta between that is recapture, right? And as our property values go up and our student enrollment remains flat, recapture continues to rise. Our neighbors to the east, our recapture is $60 million, give or take. Theirs is well over $200 million. And we saw on the slides, Plano ISD, we saw on the slides that it's anticipated a $5 billion recapture hit across the state. Ms. Prosnick and I were doing some quick math. That's almost $1,000 for every child in the state of Texas that's recapturable. And couple that with what's causing that. Rising property values and a stable enrollment. So you might ask yourself, well, gosh, LISD just get some more kids, right? Well, there are demographic issues in this area which are hampering that. One of which is school choice. I don't have a problem with school choice. The state absolutely has opportunity to set up a different mechanism or a dual mechanism for educating children. Just be fair about it. Just be fair about it. And so when a dual mechanism for schooling is set up and funded differently, you run into problems. You also cause things to happen in a public school district to attract, engage, and retain children. What might that be? We heard some of it here tonight from one of our speakers. You specialize. You make new and different programs to attract children. Spanish immersion is one of them. I talked last month about Fire Academy. I talked about dual enrollment at our other schools. All these specialized programs are awesome. They attract and retain and engage kids. They're also very costly on a program resources side and a staffing side. So something that is meant to enhance becomes a problem in budgetary times, difficult budgetary times. Just a few more words. Frankly, we need help. The help, according to past legislative communication, has been, well, just raise your tax rate. Okay, now think about that for a second. Just raise your tax rate. That way we don't have to. And that's a harsh thing to say, but that's an actual statement from a past legislator. Raise your tax rate. Lewisville ISD is a very conservative, low tax rate district relative to other districts in the area. So conservative that we gain about $1,000 less per kids based on our tax rate. So we'd have whatever 49,000 times 1,000 is. Is that 49 million? Oh gosh, that's about what our recapture is. Huh. So I'll close with this. If you're a history of school finance, first off, God bless you. Secondly, Edgewood cases since the 1970s have attacked school finance questions. And it's been a series of cases. And they run about every 8 to 10 years. Well, we need legislative action because as the system becomes out of whack, so to speak, where recapture is run away and school districts are tightly strapped financially, it may result in judicial action and another Edgewood case. And so I'm hopeful that's not the case. I'm hopeful that legislative relief can be found with this legislative session. And a great place to start would be to raise a basic allotment more than $70 a year, significantly more. So thank you for listening to my rambling.
Dr. Warner, Ms. Hassett?
Okay, I'll be quick, promise. This legislative session has been hugely unproductive for public schools. We are under attack ever since COVID. Teachers and staff have been under a lot of pressure, and they have benefited from the increase in the inflationary costs. They are taking that money and not providing it to the schools that are needing it desperately. And in addition, they're wanting to provide ESCs vouchers for public schools. While they're at the same time, by and large, if you just look at a lot of the bills that have been filed, they are adding more regulations and more things for us in public schools, more accountability and more regulations for us, while at the same time, so we already have a lot, and now they're providing more and more. So it's an issue that we all need our communities to help us support our public schools. That's all.
Well, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I say it often. I believe in local control. Recently, we got the highest rating we could get from Fitch for our bond rating. We control that. The legislature at least lets us control that money. We control that money, and we get the highest rating on how we use that money, how we spent that, how we've managed that money. The legislature doesn't let us control our M&O taxes. They control it. So if you want to raise, if you believe in funding public education, I wish you could come talk to me about it, but I suggest you go talk to your local legislator about it, because they don't trust me to make those decisions. That's all.
Thank you, Board. I think that was a great video. I was looking for the presentation. I couldn't find it, so if we don't have that, if we could get that. A couple things I would say to add to this. One is I'm going to extend a continued criticism to our Attorney General, who interpreted the Constitution of the state of Texas. He clearly did not read the same document I read, because you can't stop at section 7.1 or 8.1 or whatever it is, where it does talk about a general diffusion of knowledge being essential for the rights and liberties, but it goes on to talk about accountability. And you establish that accountability through the presence or the election of school boards. And then you have other mechanisms within the Constitution. So what he did was he read one section and forgot to read the whole document. Not a surprise. And so we find ourselves in a situation where the Senate has decided that $8,000 of money, $8,000 per student with no accountability is more beneficial to their constituents than 6160, or let's just say add 150 or 300 or whatever your number is, to a highly accountable, as Dr. Rapp said, public education equals public accountability. And so it flummoxes me that men and women of sound mind can sit there and read a document and say that we'll give money to unaccountable entities, more money than they would to us. It just blows me away. And then the other thing is, as a reminder, you know, Dr. Rapp has talked about this before, with recapture money, that there's accountability with it. We all know the stories that are true of recapture money going to build water parks. And once again, it's taking, that's M&O. But they're funded. They fund the M&O through. They're telling you that what you're saying. She's saying that they're saying they're using M&O to fund that. However, they're recapture districts. So tomato, because they're coming in, they've got a line item for that recapture. And again, it's just lack of accountability. And so I think, we need accountability. We need people that sit up here that are going to champion the causes of our district and that are going to fight the battle with our legislative delegation. I think we have a legislative delegation that is receptive. I have equally been disappointed with some votes. They confuse me. I know there's some politics behind the way the votes are being made right now to get us to where the committees will come together. Ideally, we will see them. We will see vouchers fail in the House, and that will ultimately kill that. And then perhaps they can take their what in 3 years would be $1 billion for 42,000 students, and they can allocate that back in the basic allotment. Anybody else? All right, thank you. We're going to do district-wide intruder detection audit. Dr. Rapp.
Yes, so Mr. Garrett's going to come and give you the monthly report findings.
All right. This is for the month of March and part of April. The state intruder assessment audits were conducted at Morningside Elementary, Memorial Elementary, Homestead Elementary, Hebron Valley Elementary, Griffin Middle School, and Lewisville High School. Any corrective actions that have been identified by the auditors have been reviewed and approved by the District Safety and Security Committee and has already been completed prior to this meeting. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions? Generally not, Matt. So thank you. All right. We're going to, Ms. Lasan, Texas Federal Advocacy Conference that you attended, similar to what we attended a couple years ago, sort of?
Similar,
But,
yes.
Tell us what you learned.
Sort of similar. So, I love that I'm the last presentation. Here it is almost 10 o'clock, so I will keep us short. But we all are fired up, so here's some more things to get fired up about. So this was the first TASB Federal Advocacy Conference in Washington, D.C. This was sort of, I think they did this because we no longer participate in NSBA. And so when I looked at it, I thought, hey, this looks really interesting. It was only one day of conference and then one day of visiting legislators. So I thought, hey, I'm going to try this out. And I'm glad I did. Okay. So the first day was just lecture-style presentations with a day to visit legislators. There's a list of topics there that we talked about that I'll go into a little bit more detail. And in your packets there, you have a copy of the agenda just so you can kind of see who spoke with us. And then one where I will say, you're always learning new things as a trustee because education is just such a big thing to put your brain around. The NAAP scores and learning loss. One thing that I happened to have my my one-on-one meeting with Dr. Rapp pretty soon after that, and I was like, these NAAP scores, do we participate in that test? And she was like, yes, you do. We do. I was like, well, okay, I did not know that. But then also you pointed out that it was sort of a duplication of effort too, because they could just use star scores anyway. That's a whole nother thing. But okay, so but we did have some really interesting speakers, and I guess I'm saying all this to encourage if someone wants to go next year to make the time, because really the one day that I was up there, a lot of times, let's face it, in these types of presentations, you end up getting a little bored, maybe. I was not bored the whole time. It was all pretty interesting. So this, what's a presentation without a picture? I did not know this gentleman before. This was our lunch speaker, Congressman Nathaniel Moran from the 1st District of Texas, which, if you know me, you know I'm from East Texas. I'm from Tyler, Texas. So I was excited to meet him. This guy still represents my parents. He is a freshman congressman, and he is on the Committee on Education, which, I got excited about. He is a graduate of White House ISD and Texas Tech University, where I believe he may have gotten his law degree as well. I can't remember exactly. But White House is literally within spitting distance of where my parents live, right outside of Tyler. And his wife is a public school teacher. He has 4 children that attend public schools. One of them, I believe, is special needs. I thought this was pretty cool. His brother is the superintendent of White House ISD and has been for a while. So I think that this was pretty cool because this guy is up in Washington and literally has family in education, knows what it's like, and all that. So, and we didn't get to talk long, but we graduated high school within a year of each other, and it was just kind of neat to meet him. So, what do I have next here? Okay. So one of the main things that TASB wanted us to focus on federally was these 3 things. The first one was, and this is nothing new, unfortunately, fully funding IDEA, and it's just sadly never been fully funded, even though the law says that it should be funded at 40%, meaning 60% of special education is paid for by state and local, and then 40% would be paid for by federal. It has never ever been funded that fully. I think over the last year or two, it might have been a little bit better with some emergency funds and such things as that, but it expired 5 years ago and needs to be reauthorized. So that's always something to talk to legislators about. They also spent a lot of time, and I was furiously taking notes, but a lot of things that they wanted to talk, to us about was teacher recruitment and retention. A lot of things that I think we were probably doing already. Creative compensation, but they also talked about some things that could happen federally, educator loan forgiveness, tax credits, down payment assistance. There were all sorts of things in there. The last thing is the permanent school fund, bond fund. This helps provides a guarantee of the bonds that schools, when schools go out for bonds. There's something in the tax code. I don't claim to be an expert on anything, but there's something in the tax code that needs to be amended to create a safe harbor for these, sort of like a trust fund. And then in your packet also, I have, Jamie made copies of these 3 documents that give greater details of what they talked about. And I have lots of notes back at home. But one thing that I do want us to do, and we would need to probably draft a letter kind of similar to what we've done, for Austin. They are looking for... they want this bill to be supported bipartisanly. Is that even a word? I don't know. But when I checked, when I was making these slides this weekend, they so far have 24 congressmen that have signed on to this. And what they told us was they already have a very long list of Democrats that are willing to sign on. And so what they're trying to do is for every Republican that signs on, they'll add a Democrat. So it's really funny because if you look at it, it'll be like the same day a Republican signs on, they add a Democrat. So, but I was surprised looking at the list. It's pretty, wide, range of, political spectrum beliefs. So, but I think it's something that we could do. That I would like to, send a letter to Dr. Burgess, and hope that he might sign on to that for us. And then lastly. Did get to go into the Senate office buildings. Sadly, but not really surprisingly, we did not meet with Senator Cruz or Senator Cornyn or Dr. Burgess. However, it was the same day as the State of the Union, and so Washington was crazy. It was blocked off everywhere, but it was still a neat experience to get to be there. We did meet with their staffers. So So yeah, that was the neat thing, that there is still stuff to be done in DC. So if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer. If not, I may have to look it up and remember, because this was 2 months ago now. So, but thank you.
Any questions? Thank you for sharing that, Allison. Appreciate it. Okay, we have one item left, and it's Dr. Miller. So let's roll.
Yes, we made it to the finish line with the long-range plan. Super excited. So year-long process, lots of conversations. Thank you for all the feedback along the way. Our last feedback was last week when we had the goal-setting workshop. So you saw the updated scorecard was from input that y'all shared on that, was updated. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have on that final draft before y'all vote.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, so I have a motion. Ms. Hassett.
I move that the board approve the proposed long-range plan as presented by administration.
Oh, seconded then. I mean, even though we're going to come back and vote on raises, but that's okay.
All right.
All right, any discussion?
Only thing I'll say is I think it's very fitting that the two of you who are leaving your legacy with this long-range plan in this vote.
Very proud of this long-range plan. I think there's a lot of work went into this. Dr. Miller, thank you for that. Dr. Rapp, you guys built a good team. I think we approached this the right way. We looked at different options, outsourcing it, hiring people, et cetera, and I think it came together nicely, doing it internally. So thank you. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. If there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 10:02 p.m.